You got dumped or you got fired or hit with a major life change, and everybody's already in your ear going, get back out there or stay busy, or yeah, you just don't got to think about it at all. So you follow their advice and you distract yourself, you rush back into dating, you throw yourself back into work, and then what happens? You repeat the exact same patterns that created the mess in the first place. Same toxic relationships, same career mistakes. Most people stay stuck in the cycle for years because they completely botched the first 72 hours after one of those major life changes. Here's the truth. Following that advice is just going to make you a soulless person. You're going to be a numbed out walking body around nobody's home, going through the motions of life without ever having processed those emotions and what happened to you. And people like that become emotional zombies. Like functionally, they're fine, but you see them and you're like, nobody's home. They date but can't connect. They work but feel empty. And then what you see is 6 months later, they're saying things like all men are narcissists, or every job sucks, or no girl likes me, or I can't trust anybody. They created these stories that protect them from feeling, but it guarantees that they were going to repeat the exact same patterns forever. They date the same type of person with a different face. They take jobs that trigger the same frustrations, and they stay stuck in loops, blaming everybody else for their patterns. Look around, please. How many soulless people do you know who've been like having the same relationships and they keep complaining about the same things for years? They have the same career frustrations, they struggle, they survive these transitions, and they never actually integrated what happened. They're living life like they're watching it through a screen. They just go through the motions, but they're never fully present. The most important 72 hours of any life transition aren't about moving forward, they're about stopping completely and letting your system process the emotional earthquake that just kicked in. I know it sounds super backwards because everybody pushes you to bounce back, but when you have something major happen like that, your nervous system goes into a complete shock and your brain's scrambling and your brain's trying to update your reality overnight. All those automatic patterns, like who you're going to text, where you're going to go, or how you're going to see yourself, all of that's thrown out the window. So your emotional system is like a phone that just crashed. The operating system is corrupted. Apps are glitching. Nothing's working properly. And everybody pressures you to skip the recovery process and just jump in and download new apps and put in new applications. What happens when you immediately jump back into life is you're forcing your brain to create new patterns before it's finished processing the old ones. So you end up carrying the same emotional programming into your next relationship, in your next job, or your next chapter of life. And I just really want you to understand, you need permission. Give yourself permission to fall apart for 72 hours. Not forever, just 3 days. Let your system do what it needs to do without bugging it. It's like the most productive thing you can do, even though it looks like nothing from the outside. And that probably terrifies the hell out of you hearing that, permission to fall apart, because you're going to give yourself complete freedom for 72 hours with zero pressure to be productive or positive or healing. So it's like you're just sitting there crying wherever it hits you. In the shower, if you're making coffee or random 3 p.m., just let them happen. Let them happen naturally. Get pissed. Like, you don't have to find the lesson yet. You don't have to be grateful. You can just be pissed that it happened. When you feel it fully, instead of trying to bypass everything, it helps you accept that lesson. You can sit and stay confused. You don't need immediate answers. You don't need to know why it happened or what you should do. For 72 hours, just go, I don't know. This sucks. And that's okay. You're probably thinking that if you let yourself fully feel that devastation, you'll fall into depression and you'll never climb out. But emotions aren't permanent states. They're energy. They're temporary experiences that you need to allow to move through you. And when you actually allow the process to happen instead of fighting it, the feelings naturally start to shift. And you're not forcing positivity. You just stop drowning the emotions because you've let them run their course. They're moving out of your body. There's a massive difference between productive processing and destructive numbing. Both look like doing nothing. Processing is staying present with whatever emotions surface, even when it's brutal, even when it hurts. Let your mind cycle through the feelings and thoughts naturally. And the test really is if you can sit alone in silence for 20 minutes without reaching for food or your phone or calling somebody, you're good. If not, you're probably numbing. Numbing is like, I'm reaching for substances, I'm reaching for people, I'm reaching for activities because I can't stay still. Binge watching stuff, shutting your brain off, constantly texting somebody, and you don't want to be alone with your thoughts. The moment you feel pain, you're running towards distraction. You might think you're processing by talking constantly about what happened, but you're avoiding the deeper feelings like shame and fear and grief. You're numbing that with conversation and you're burying it. The real processing happens when you're still. When you sit alone, you let go and you just let the emotions surface without calling somebody or without reaching for your phone. That's where the actual work happens. And what you'll find is after you give yourself permission to just completely fall apart, something shifts. You won't feel healed. That's not the point. You don't want to just go, oh, I feel better, but you'll finally feel back in your skin. So before processing, it looks like you're living life through a screen. You're kind of just going through the motions, thinking about everything, but you're never fully present. And after processing, you're actually like in your body. Colors look more vivid. Conversations feel real. You don't feel like you're performing anymore in life. You're living it. And it usually happens over weeks. So don't feel bad if it's not in a few days. And it all depends on how deeply you allow yourself to process. If you haven't processed previous transitions, give yourself the chance to heal. Give yourself a chance to recover from that. You need to give yourself permission to feel everything. Whether that's now or years after the original event, right now, give yourself permission to feel that. And what changes is you'll see relationships differently. All those emotions that you weren't able to process are naturally coming and going, and they're starting to get less and less brutal. And there'll be an empty space, like an empty feeling. And you'll see all these things like, things that you used to do and things that you used to like, all of those things start to drop in your interest. That emptiness isn't a problem. It's creating space for something new to emerge. That's your foundation. When you know you can sit with difficult emotions without being destroyed, you make different choices. You're not constantly running from discomfort or making decisions to avoid pain. That's when you start feeling good and being in your own skin. The clarity about what to do next does not come from planning or analysis. It emerges naturally once your system processes the shock. You'll wake up one morning and you'll be like, oh, I know the next step. It's a small step, not your entire future, but it's the next thing. It feels right. And the key difference is you'll be taking action from clarity instead of reactivity. So you're not going to go, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. You're going to be like, I just want to do that. This feels right. So right now your friends might be telling you to get back out there. But once you give yourself time to process first, everything changes and you'll tell yourself to get back out there. You'll take action that feels normal, like dating or job searching or whatever. You don't have to prove you're over what happened. Allow yourself to sit in that void. You'll just get genuinely curious about what you want to create from this new version of yourself when you heal. What happens when you do that is you'll pop into new relationships. Opportunities pop up, breakthroughs pop up. They come later, but it's only possible because you reset for 72 hours. You gave yourself that time to put those Band-Aids on. So whether you're in the first 72 hours or this happened years ago, here's what I need you to do. Give yourself permission to feel everything. Whatever you've been avoiding, just sit there and give yourself permission. If it's fresh, don't make plans, don't try to feel better. If it's old, it is not too late. Your healing starts the moment you stop running from the emotion. Please give yourself 72 hours. Now, I want to ask you guys to subscribe, hit the notification bell. Next week, I'm going to show you exactly what to do once all of those emotions are processed, signs that tell you you're ready for action, and some of the biggest mistakes, the screw-ups that I see people do when they start rebuilding too early. Do not become a soulless person. You have a beautiful life in front of you. I want you to live it. Give yourself the gift of actually processing instead of surviving.